Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please do roll call.
Mayor Clark,
Here.
Councilmember Bottenberg,
Here.
Councilmember Crone,
Here.
Councilmember Grove,
Here.
Councilmember Pierce,
Here.
Councilmember Sinclair.
Here.
Agenda item D is open forum. Open forum is for anyone here tonight to address the council on any subject on the agenda other than a public hearing or on any subject over which the council has the authority to act. If anyone here tonight, either in the council chambers or on Zoom, wishes to address the council, please approach the podium or raise your hand. If you're participating via Zoom, you can raise your hand by clicking on the raise hand icon located in the reactions controls.
There are no hands raised in Zoom.
Okay, public hearing or open forum is closed. Agenda item E is agenda approval. Can I get a motion?
Move to approve.
Second. Any discussion? Please vote.
Councilmember Pierce,
Yes.
Councilmember Crone,
Yes.
Councilmember Bottenberg,
Yes.
Councilmember Sinclair,
Yes.
Councilmember Grove.
Yes.
Agenda item G1 is a public hearing on a proposed City of Waukee fiscal year 2026 budget. And now declare this public hearing open. Nikki, have we received any written correspondence?
None has been received in the city clerk's office.
Thank you. Dr. Burkhart?
And then actually going to tag team it. She's going to do 95% of it, but I will introduce the first couple of slides here tonight. This is the public hearing on the proposed fiscal year 26 budget. And we have a number of slides to go through here tonight to kind of explain, if you will, the various components of that budget, what's being proposed. I will go through personnel as well as capital purchases, as well as describe some of our fund balances and our proposed tax levy rate for the upcoming fiscal year. As just kind of a precursor to that, though, Mayor and City Council do an annual strategic planning session. In fact, you will be starting that process up here in May for this upcoming year. As a part of that, we do review and revise the city's vision on an annual basis. The current city vision for Waukee in 2040, is that we are a community for a lifetime with safe and beautiful leisure and enrichment amenities for all to enjoy. We are your hometown with quality housing options, businesses and career opportunities, and easy and safe mobility options. As a part of that strategic plan, there is 5-year goals that are established and again updated on an annual basis. Those goals tie very much into the annual budgeting process, and really the budget is a reflection of these goals as well as the vision for the city. Financially sound city providing excellent service value. As a reminder, the city of Waukee was recently, as in 2023, upgraded for our Moody's rating to a AA1, which based upon the size of our community is really about as high as we're going to be able to get until we get to be a much larger community. We've been able to maintain that rating over the last almost 2 years. Managed and planned growth and development. Our special census confirmed that we grew by approximately 8,000 people between 2020 and 2024. Do the math, that's about 2,000 people every single year. Keep in mind with how property taxes work, for new construction, you're generally 18 months behind. So essentially we're serving those new residents without necessarily having the revenues to support those residents. So that is a component. But you will see that reflected in our budget in terms of those increases are really intended to serve those additional residents within our community. Business and job opportunities, we continue to see improvements in the commercial environment within the city of Waukee with many opportunities along Grand Prairie Parkway, as well as the Hickman Road corridor. And finally, expanded community and leisure opportunities. Those are something that are absolutely incorporated annually into our capital improvements plan. And there are many examples currently of projects under construction to enhance our community and leisure opportunities throughout the city. Finally, my last piece of this is back in October, when we start the budgeting process, staff does walk through with the city council, and the city council does approve and establish budget directives. I will not read through all of these. You certainly can read those on the screen. However, the first one I will read, which is evaluate potential rate reductions from the current city levy of $12.95 per thousand. I am happy to report, and Linda will go further into this, elaborate, but we are proposing with this budget a further reduction of our tax levy rate from $12.95 down to $12.80. With that being said, I am going to turn it over to Linda Burkhart, Finance Director, for what will probably be her very last budget presentation for the city of Waukee.
We're all sad and you're.
Unless I can convince her to stay longer, but I think I've probably run out of.
A month, perhaps. Good evening, Mayor and council members and citizens who are here maybe for this direct purpose, and I wasn't getting very much to work, so I'll do it again. This first slide just talks through the property tax by jurisdiction. As you can see with the pie there, the largest piece is the Waukee School District at 49% of your tax bill, and the city makes up about 30%, 36% of that tax bill. And this is based on the taxes today, as we don't know what each of the new entities are proposing for their taxes for the upcoming year. The Dallas County is the next largest piece at 10%. The next slide shows our taxable valuations by classifications. The top chart shows what the statewide average is. And you can see the residential for the statewide average is about 57%. And the bottom chart shows Waukee, and our makeup is considerably different than what the state average is, with our residential making up about 82% of our taxable valuation. This next slide, we take a look at our valuation per capita, and you can see we fall kind of right about in the middle. Again, that really highlights where we are 82% residential. So we vary substantially to Clive, who has the highest average of $103,000 per capita, and we're at about $63,000 per capita. The average across those communities is about $71,000. So we're getting closer to that average. The next chart shows the consolidated levy comparison with our other metro communities. And this is the combined levy that shows the school districts and the county. So you can see on this chart, Waukee's in about that bottom third with our 36 and some change total tax levy. And again, this is based on the current year's levies. Again, it's very beneficial to be in Dallas County. Dallas County tends to have the lower tax rate than what Polk County residents do. This next one gets into what we're proposing for the 26 budget. And this shows our revenue sources in a chart format. You can see that blue piece of the pie is property taxes. The red or the burgundy piece to the left of that blue is transfers. It's basically property taxes also that come in for employee benefit levy and are combined together. So in total of our revenues, 72% of it is all from property taxes. The remaining 28% is from other sources like interest or fees to participate in rec programs, building permits, and those types of things. The next slide then switches over to the general fund expenditures. And that largest piece of the pie is public safety, which makes up about 62% of our budget. So where you can see 72% is property taxes. Of that, 62% then is equated to public safety, which includes police, fire, animal control, and building permits or building inspections. The next larger program area would be culture and recreation, and that's just under 20%. And then the remaining is more your operational side of the general government. One area that staff spends a lot of time is this expenditure comparison in those program areas to our other communities in the metro at a per capita basis. It's very hard to read that up there, but all this is also on the website so people can look it up. So we do spend time looking at that to see how we compare to our metro partner or metro communities. So like on that public safety piece, which is where the majority of dollars are spent, the average across the metro is about $558 per capita, and we're running at about 486. So we do have stayed below that metro average. The one area that we are higher is our debt service, which just equates to all the programs and the projects we have going with all the new infrastructure that needs to be put in with the roads. The staffing changes that are included in this new budget, we have three new police officers funded and an additional SRO or a school resource officer. With the opening of the new public safety building in June, we're also adding 3 fire engineer positions and moving the administrative staff person from part-time to full-time. There's also included an economic development coordinator position and 1 additional streets laborer. That chart on the bottom shows what percent of the general fund is personnel expenses. We try to maintain 75%, and we're right there every year. So of all the revenues coming in, again, 75% of it is all to personnel and wages and benefits. This next slide is on contractual services or kind of member agreements that we have with some community partners that are able to do some things that the city isn't able to do. The top 2 there are items that are paid for out of our hotel motel tax collection. We have a 5-year agreement with the Des Moines Airport with their new project on the construction of that new airport. And we're on year 3 of 5. So we've got 3 years to go. And then the Waukee Area Chamber, and then there's other partners. I'm not going to read through each of those, but again, that's all available on the website. The next slide goes through capital equipment for the general fund. It's about $745,000 for the year. We've got replacing several vehicles, the 2 for the police department, and adding 2 additional vehicles. As they add staff, they need additional vehicles. There's a portable incinerator, and then they're replacing 10 of their radios. From the fire EMS side, they're just replacing some fire hose this year and adding a rapid intervention self-contained breathing unit. And then Public Works has 1 vehicle replacement for engineering, and then they're doing some improvements on the training room. The audiovisual and equipment in there is needing to be replaced. Parks and Rec is adding 2 mowers, as we've added a number of parks over the last several years, so they need additional equipment. And a Ventrac seeder, which I'm not sure exactly what that is, but they say they need it. And then we're adding some wireless activity or wireless cameras and access control at the various parks buildings, and converting 1 employee desk to a retrofitted for a stand-up. And IT has an uninterruptible power supply. As we look at the overview for the general fund, we're bringing in about $26.7 million and spending about 27.2. So yes, we're spending just under $500,000 more than the revenue coming in. But we do have a fairly substantial fund balance that we propose to spend down. The balance right now is about 15 million. Current year, we're proposing to spend about $60,000 of that, and then the 500,000 on this budget that's being proposed. Still leaves us about a 53% fund balance, which is high. Moody's recommends about 30%. But we know we've got some upcoming expenses that are larger that we probably can't borrow for, like refresh of existing buildings, HVAC systems, roofs, those types of things, and then capital equipment needs in the future. We also have feel like we need to have additional fund balance or reserve funds as legislative talks through property tax reductions and changes that are looking at in the future. We feel like we need to have some dollars for that. So that's kind of where we have left that. Capital projects for the next 5 years, we're looking at about 299 million. I'm not going to go into a lot of those. The next item on the agenda is the CIP public hearing, so we'll address those. Then to fund the capital projects, there's a statutory limit of 5% of our 100% valuation that we can have in debt. So this just shows where we're at currently. Of about 84% of that capacity is used up. Each year we take a look at what's available as we look at those capital projects and do the funding for those. Next slide, I won't spend a lot of time on the utility funds either. We've got some agenda items tonight to approve these rate increases. As we looked through the cash flows for each of the utilities, these are the proposed increases. The water irrigation will be going up an additional $1. That will make it a total of $4 over the regular household water rate. The water for houses is going up about just under 2.5% for an average of $1.16 on an average monthly bill. Wastewater, a 1% increase or about 58 cents. Solid waste is a little larger at the 14.29% increase or $2.50 a month. Stormwater is 8.78% or 65 cents a month, with a total then about 3.77% increase or $4.89 a month. The last one we'd take a look at is, so what does this all mean for an average house in Waukee of $400,000? The current rollback is at 46%. The state changed that to 47.4% for this upcoming budget. And as we look at that, it comes down to about $6.65 a day. And it's about a 1.16% increase from last year, which is about 7 cents a day for a $400,000 house. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Does anyone here tonight, either in the council chambers or on Zoom, wish to address the council and voice their comments or questions on this particular public hearing item? If so, please approach the podium, or if participating via Zoom, you can click on the raise hand icon located in the reactions controls.
There are no hands raised in Zoom.
Okay. I now declare this public hearing item closed. Agenda item G2 is a public hearing on a proposed capital improvement program for fiscal years 2026 to 2030. I now declare this public hearing open. Becky, have you received any correspondence on this?
No correspondence in the city clerk's office.
Thank you. Rachel?
Good evening, Madam Mayor and esteemed council members. Tonight, I am presenting for your consideration the capital improvement plan for fiscal years 26 through 2030. I'd like to highlight some of the projects within the various program areas. For parks projects, we have $13.2 million worth of park improvements over the next 5 years. Those include some neighborhood parks in the Spring Crest and Painted Woods areas, as well as national fitness campaign that will add some outdoor fitness space at Ridge Point Park. For trail projects, we'll be doing extensions in the Kettlestone Greenway area. That's phase 3 of that project, in addition to some new trails around the Little Walnut Creek Greenway area. And that would be about 13.7 million.
3.7.
Or I'm sorry, 3.7.
That's okay.
As far as other projects is concerned, more of the admin type projects, we're at 14.7 million. And these include some downtown redevelopment, which will be a reconfiguration of Walnut Street between Ashworth and Sixth. That will include some additional parking. And then there's also some flex space in that area that they'll be able to use to close off when they have got different festivals and things down in that area. And then also refurbishment of the old public safety building. And then we're also starting to do some conversions to solar power in various facilities around town, and that will be a phased project. And then some fire engines and ambulances in order to help maintain the new facility that we're building up there. Road projects are the largest area for our growing community. We've got $185.4 million worth of road projects planned for the next 5 years. A big portion of this is the University Avenue extension, which is in and of itself 78 million, which is phased over multiple years. That will extend the University Avenue as a major east-west connector from South Warrior to U Avenue, which will be future 11th Street. In addition to that, we're doing a joint project with Clive for phases 1A and 1B of Northeast Dallas's road widening, which formerly, if you look at past CIPs, this was kind of known as phases 6 and 7 of Dallas's road, but they got changed. The name got changed when we did a joint project with Clive. For phase 1A, it will be from Northeast Horizon to Northeast Delwood. And then phase 1B will be from Northeast Delwood to Douglas Parkway. Also in this next 5 years worth of CIP, we have the Warrior Lane Improvements Phase 3. This will be the reconstruction of Warrior Lane from Marshall to Hickman, which we know has been an area that people would like to have redone. For utility projects, we have $28.2 million worth of projects for there. In the sewer area, we've got the West Area Phase 3, which extends sewer lines to T Avenue, the extension into the Hunter Hollow subdivision sewer project also, and then rehab of both water and sewer lines in conjunction with the roads projects that are going to be going on in the Green Acres area of the old part of Waukee. Linda kind of talked a little bit about, the funding for these projects, but the major funding sources will be GO bond proceeds, lost cash and bond proceeds, as well as TIF bonds, and then utility cash and revenue bonds. This will be kind of depending on legislation, as she had mentioned, but will be a combination of those types of funding sources. And we were planning on going out for bonds not until September. So we've got a little time after legislation session is finished to decide what we need to do next. And at this time, I'd be happy to take any questions that you may have.
I just want to clarify for the group that lost means local option sales tax. It's not lost cash. All right.
We lost it and then we found it.
All right. With that, does anyone here tonight, either in the council chambers or on Zoom, wish to address the council and voice their comments or questions on this particular public hearing item? If so, you may approach the podium or raise your hand. And if participating via Zoom, click on the raise hand icon.
There are no hands raised in Zoom.
And I declare this public hearing item closed. Agenda item H1, consideration of approval of a resolution adopting the City of Waukee fiscal year 2026 budget. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Linda?
I have nothing further to add, but it is kind of exciting to recommend my final budget to you for approval.
Just keep digging the knife in. All right. Any questions? All right, please vote.
Councilmember Bottenberg.
Yes.
Councilmember Grove.
Yes.
Councilmember Crone.
Yes.
Councilmember Pierce.
Yes.
Councilmember Sinclair.
Yes.
Agenda item H2, consideration of approval of a resolution approving City of Waukee capital improvement program for fiscal years 2026 to 2030. Can I get a motion? Move to approve. Okay. Rachel,
I have nothing further to add and recommend approval.
thank you. Any questions? Please vote.
Councilmember Crone.
Yes.
Councilmember Pierce.
Yes.
Councilmember Sinclair.
Yes.
Councilmember Bottenberg.
Yes.
Councilmember Grove.
Yes.
Item H3, consideration of approval of a resolution declaring an official intent under Treasury Regulation 1.1502 to issue debt to reimburse the city for certain original expenditures paid in connection with specified projects. Can I get a motion?
So moved. Second.
Linda?
Thank you. This just corresponds after the approval of the CIP. So every year we have to update this reimbursement resolution. So we're allowed to reimburse ourselves for any expenditures prior to the issuance of the bonds to pay for these capital projects. So it just updates that CIP list to include all the projects. I would recommend approval.
Thank you. Any questions? Please vote.
Councilmember Sinclair.
Yes.
Councilmember Grove.
Yes.
Councilmember Battenberg.
Yes.
Councilmember Pierce.
Yes.
Councilmember Crone.
Yes. Agenda item I1 is the consent agenda. Can I get a motion? Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Please vote.
Councilmember Crone.
Yes.
Councilmember Pierce.
Yes.
Councilmember Sinclair.
Yes.
Councilmember Grove.
Yes.
Councilmember Battenberg.
Yes.
Item I2 for utility rate adjustments. I2A, consideration of approval of an ordinance to amend Chapter 92 water rates by amending Section 92.02 water rates as specified. This is an introduction and a first reading.
I introduce the ordinance and move to approve the first reading and title only.
Thank you.
Second.
Rudy?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Good evening, council members. Up on the screen is all of our proposed utility rate adjustments. You can see effective rates as of July 1st of 2024, and then proposed rates there in the third column from the left. The percent changes you can see there as well, and then the dollar amount differential between those 2 years. One edit I'll make there on Linda's presentation, she did mention the dollar increase on irrigation rates. We are already at $4, so we will not be adding that as part of this ordinance amendment. So Linda, update your documents. But other than that, we do have the 2.5 on the water rates. So with that, happy to take any questions, but staff recommends the introduction of the ordinance and approval of the first reading and title only.
Thank you. Any questions? Please vote.
Councilmember Battenberg.
Yes.
Councilmember Sinclair.
Yes.
Councilmember Pierce.
Yes.
Councilmember Grove.
Yes.
Councilmember Crone.
Yes. Now we get to do it 4 more times. I2B, consideration of approval of an ordinance to amend Chapter 98 sewer service charges by amending Section 98.01 sewer service charges required as specified. This is also an introduction, first reading.
I introduce the ordinance and move to approve the first reading and title only.
Second.
Rudy?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Again, I'll reference the screen. You can see the 1% increase for both the base charge, the monthly base charge, and then the per $1,000 rate. You can see approximately 16-cent increase and 12-cent respectively in both of those. I'm happy to take any questions, but staff recommends introduction of the ordinance and approval of the first reading and title only.
Thank you. Any questions? Please vote.
Councilmember Crone.
Yes.
Councilmember Battenberg.
Yes.
Councilmember Grove.
Yes.
Councilmember Sinclair.
Yes.
Councilmember Pierce.
Yes. I2C, consideration of approval of an ordinance to amend Chapter 100 Stormwater Management Utility by amending Section 100.05 Stormwater Service Rates and Charges as specified. This is also an introduction, first reading.
Introduce the ordinance and move to approve the first reading and title only.
Second.
Rudy?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Again, I'll reference the screen up there. You can see the stormwater utility in the light green. And again, the 8.78% increase or 65-cent increase to the annual rate. So that is per ERU, equivalent residential unit. So that is 1 for each residential family. And then it's times the impervious area based on a commercial lot, industrial and sector. So happy to take any questions, but staff recommends introduction of the ordinance and approval of the first reading and title only.
Thank you. Any questions? Please vote.
Councilmember Grove.
Yes.
Councilmember Crone.
Yes.
Councilmember Battenberg.
Yes.
Councilmember Pierce.
Yes.
Councilmember Sinclair.
Yes.
I2D, consideration of approval of an ordinance to amend Chapter 106, collection of solid waste by amending Section 106.10, collection charges as specified. This is an introduction and first reading.
I introduce the ordinance and move to approve the first reading and title only.
Second.
Rudy?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Again, I'll reference the table on the screen, the solid waste collection for both single family and multifamily. You can see we are going the $2.50 increase, which is almost 3% increase. And then the reduction on the multifamily from the $2.8 to the 2.5. If you recall, we did a rate structure review of this utility. So we are in our year 2 of that stair step of rate increases or adjustments for the single family, and then the decrease for the multifamily component for that. So again, just briefly on that study, that was to make it fair and equitable for the users that are paying towards that utility and its operations. I'm happy to take any questions at this time, but staff recommends introducing the ordinance and approving the first reading in title only.
Thank you. Any questions? Please vote.
Councilmember Pierce,
Yes.
Councilmember Battenberg,
Yes.
Councilmember Sinclair,
Yes.
Councilmember Crone,
Yes.
Councilmember Grove,
Yes.
Item I2E, consideration of approval of an ordinance to amend Chapter 110, natural gas service rates and charges by amending Section 110.02, monthly rates as specified. This is also an introduction and first reading.
I introduce the ordinance and move to approve the first reading in title only.
Second?
Rudy.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We are still the gas utility for a few more months, hopefully. So we are operating as usual. So again, this is year 3 of our rate adjustment. If you recall, we did this one 3 years ago now. And so basically we're taking that rate base charge, the monthly base charge for the small volume and large volume customers. So $13 up to $15 and then $27.50 up to $31.75. We are just with the uninterruptible commercial and industrial service charge. We don't have any of those customers actually, but we are just making it in line with the others. We did drop out that debt service charge line. So we're just deleting that and adding that component to the non-gas commodity charge line. So really a cleanup item there. Happy to take any questions at this time if you have any, but staff recommends introducing the ordinance and approving the first reading in title only.
Thank you. Any questions? Please vote.
Councilmember Sinclair,
Yes.
Councilmember Grove,
Yes.
Councilmember Pierce,
Yes.
Councilmember Crone,
Yes.
Councilmember Battenberg,
Yes.
Item I3, consideration of approval of an ordinance to amend Chapter 169 zoning ordinance City of Waukee, Iowa by rezoning certain property from A1 and C1 to M1, a parcel known as I-80 West Industrial. This is a second reading.
Move to approve the second reading of the ordinance in title only.
Second.
Melissa?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The property is located north of Interstate Parkway and west of U Avenue. It's highlighted in blue on the screen. Contains 1.95 acres. Staff recommends approval of the second reading of the rezoning, and I would be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Please vote.
Councilmember Crone,
Yes.
Councilmember Pierce,
Yes.
Councilmember Grove,
Yes.
Councilmember Battenberg,
Yes.
Councilmember Sinclair,
Yes.
Item I4, consideration of approval of an ordinance to amend Chapter 169 zoning ordinance City of Waukee, Iowa by rezoning certain property from R2 to R2/PD1 and from R2 PD1 to R2, a property known as Remington Point. This is a third and final reading.
I move to approve the third reading of the ordinance in title only and place it on final passage.
Second.
Melissa?
This property is located south of University Avenue and west of 17th Street, contains 15.3 acres. Staff recommends approval of the final reading of the rezoning, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any final questions? Please vote.
Councilmember Sinclair,
Yes.
Councilmember Battenberg,
Yes.
Councilmember Pierce,
Yes.
Councilmember Crone,
Yes.
Councilmember Grove,
Yes.
Item I5, consideration of approval of a resolution approving preliminary plat for Remington Point Phase 2. Can I get a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Melissa?
The owner is Phillips Hamilton, Inc. The applicant is Landmark Development Services. Property is located south of University Avenue and west of 17th Street. It's highlighted in blue on the screen or outlined in blue. It contains a total of 38.7 acres. The property is zoned for single-family residential, townhome residential, and commercial. The preliminary plat identifies a total of 88 lots for single-family residential development. A total of 42 lots are zoned R2, and then a total of 46 lots are zoned R2 with the planned development overlay. The preliminary plat also includes an outlot for future townhome development. It's the area shown in blue within the outlined, or sorry, not blue. It's the area shown in orange within the outlined area. It also includes 6 outlots for future commercial development located along University Avenue, and those are shown in red within that outlined area. The preliminary plat includes 1 outlot in the northwest corner for stormwater detention.
This outlot will be owned and maintained by a homeowners association. Several landscape buffers will be provided between the different zoning districts and also along University Avenue. Extensions of Worthman Drive and Bloomfield Drive will be included as part of plat improvements. A new public street, Countryside Way, will be included as well. A 10-foot wide trail will be installed along the south side of Worthman Drive with individual lot development. Again, stormwater detention will be provided in that outlot, and then also in previous phases of Remington Point development, there's some outlots for stormwater detention that will also provide detention. These will all be owned and maintained by a homeowners association. Public utilities will be extended throughout the plat. Private utilities will serve that townhome development in the orange area. Parkland dedication for the overall Remington Point development, including this phase and the first phase, is 6.7 acres in area. They have provided a fee in lieu of land dedication. Staff recommends approval of the preliminary plat, and I would be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions? Please vote.
Councilmember Battenberg,
Yes.
Councilmember Pierce,
Yes.
Councilmember Grove,
Yes.
Councilmember Sinclair,
Yes.
Councilmember Crone,
Yes.
Item I6, consideration of approval of a resolution approving construction drawings for Remington Point Plat 4. Can I get a motion?
Move to approve?
Second.
Melissa?
Okay, and then this is just within that last plat area. It includes a total of 24 single-family residential lots and then an extension of Worthman Drive and extensions of public utilities. It's the area outlined in blue on the screen. Staff recommends approval of the construction drawings, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions? Please vote.
Councilmember Crone,
Yes.
Councilmember Sinclair,
Yes.
Councilmember Grove,
Yes.
Councilmember Battenberg,
Yes.
Councilmember Pierce,
Yes.
Item I7, consideration of approval of a resolution approving a contract for the sale of the Waukee Municipal Gas Utility to Mid-American Energy Company.
Move to approve.
Second.
Brad?
Thank you, Mayor. Well over a year ago, the city began the discussions and process of determining whether or not to proceed forward with the sale of the Waukee Municipal Gas Utility. We are one of just 50 in the state of Iowa, and we're the second largest behind Cedar Falls. Throughout that process, we did go through a bid proposal process. We did receive bids from 3 companies interested in the acquisition of the gas utility. Based upon review of those bids, the winning bid was Mid-American Energy Company, who was also the provider of the majority of the surrounding areas surrounding the city of Waukee. Following the bid process, the proposal to sell the utility was submitted to the electors within the city of Waukee, and on March 4th of this year, overwhelmingly, the voters voted to approve for the sale of the gas utility to Mid-American Energy. Over the last several months, city staff has been working with Mid-American Energy in developing and refining a purchase agreement for the acquisition of the gas utility, which is on your table for consideration tonight. While I won't go through all provisions within the document does provide for not only the purchase of the utility, but as well as the timing for the closing on the utility itself being sometime towards the end of the calendar year 2025. Does include as well some of the assets that are included with the gas utility. The purchase price that has been negotiated and established as part of the purchase agreement is for $18,750,000. Which will then be finalized with a true-up adjustment for actual net value, book value, plus a 10% premium determined at the time of the actual closing of the utility with a floor level, if you will, of not to go below $17,650,000. As you can imagine, this utility, we continue to add customers and services and assets really on a daily basis. So while we're still several months out, we do have to plan for that so that it will be shored up, if you will, just prior to the closing of the utility. Staff would recommend approval of the purchase agreement with Mid-American Energy Company. I believe we also have some representatives from Mid-American in the audience tonight. Be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions? All right, it's been a lot of work. It feels a little anticlimactic. But with that, please vote.
Councilmember Bottenberg.
Yes.
Councilmember Sinclair.
Yes.
Councilmember Pierce.
Yes.
Councilmember Crone.
Yes.
Councilmember Grove.
Yes.
All right, agenda item J, reports. Brad?
Thank you, Mayor. The only thing I have to report is I always seem to pick the weeks where it rains, but we are planning on a city cleanup. This is something that staff does, but we certainly welcome the public as well as a part of Earth Day activities. That is currently scheduled for this Friday, beginning at 9 a.m. Anyone that's interested can meet at the enclosed shelter at Centennial Park along University Avenue. And we will have garbage sacks and gloves and some high-res vests for people to use, as well as areas where trash needs to be cleaned up. We will make the call on Wednesday on whether or not, depending on whether Friday will work. And if not, we'll certainly reschedule for a later date. Thank you.
Thank you. Steve?
No report.
No report. Anna?
No report.
Bradley?
No report.
No report.
Okay, well, with that, I will take a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Have a great week, everybody.
Thank you.